Good afternoon. I'm Annie Larkin, the Associate Curator of Public Programs at the Amerind Museum. And welcome to our Amerind Virtual Autumn Fest Salon Art and Sale with Priscilla Tacheney. Amerind Virtual Autumn Fest is made possible this year by the generous support of our sponsors, Sterling Investments, Arizona G&T Cooperatives, and the Arizona Commission on the Arts. Thank you to these organizations for enabling Amerind to provide this free online programming to our audience. Thank you also to our members and donors who not only make this type of programming possible, but Amerind's mission to promote the knowledge and understanding of the Native peoples of the Americas through research, education, conservation, and community engagement. To learn how you can assist Amerind in supporting its mission by becoming a member or donor, please visit amerind.org. Amerind Virtual Autumn Fest will feature Indigenous artists and performers from throughout the Southwest, not only today, but also on October 24th. So in addition to Priscilla's Salon Art and Sale, next Saturday, we will have another incredible day of programming with performances by Tony Duncan, Gabriel Ayala, and Salon Art and Sales with Raquel Kemp, Troy Seiss, and Race Latte. You can join us by watching the programs live on Facebook or registering to view the events on Zoom. For information about Amerind Virtual Autumn Fest programming, check the events section of the Amerind website or Facebook page. And during the last several months, we have all been enduring a world altered by the COVID-19 pandemic. Many of the artists and musicians featured in Virtual Autumn Fest have been negatively impacted financially, as they have not had the venues to sell their art or perform their music. We at Amerind ask that, if possible, please support these talented people through a purchase of their works of art or music, or provide gratuity. Through your support, you can make a direct impact in the lives of artists and musicians. This afternoon, we hope you will support the work of Priscilla by purchasing a work of her art today. In addition to what you see, which she'll be sharing with you today, her work can be found on her Etsy page, Squash Blossom Photos, as well as her website. This information will also be posted in the comments section of the Facebook Live video feed and sent out in an email to all of our Zoom registrants. And you can also see her website and Etsy address on the screen right now. So Priscilla's skill in capturing the essence and drama of nature reflected her deep reverence for the remote corners of the landscape she is able to capture and connect her to the power and beauty of her world. She feels it's important to capture the beauty of her people, the Diné, documenting cultural images, as well as creating conceptual art pieces that are inspired by her cultural traditions, beliefs, and stories. And Priscilla, it's such a pleasure. I'm a huge fan, as you know. I've kind of gushed over work. So it's a pleasure to have you here today. And I'll hand it on over to you.
Okay. Well, so welcome everybody. My name is Priscilla Tacheney. I'm a Navajo photographer from Prescott Valley, Arizona. I was born and raised on the reservation and grew up in northern Arizona in a small town called Coyote, which is 20 miles south of the Arizona-Utah border near Monument Valley. It is an honor to be here, and I'd like to thank Annie and the Amerind Museum for inviting me to speak to you about my work in photography. I was one of the selected artists to participate in the Amerind Autumn Fest in 2018 and 2019. I really enjoyed being part of the Autumn Fest, and I hope to return to the museum when everything is back to normal. Okay, my appreciation for the arts started when I was a teenager. It led me to a degree in graphic design. After working several years as a graphic artist, I felt it was time to find a medium in fine art. I enrolled myself into beginning digital photography class at a local community college. Once I obtained the basic knowledge of working a digital camera, I started to experiment and photograph different subjects that caught my eye. I found myself photographing landscapes more than anything else. So I began to travel to many scenic areas in Arizona, looking to capture the beauty of Mother Earth and Father Sky. Through the lens of my camera, I began to see the details and the beauty of the landscape and started to feel a connection with nature's subject and its energy. Each photo session was unique, and it required me to apply a different set of technical and artistic considerations. My work in the field helped me appreciate and embrace the wonder of the earth and sparked a passion inside me that made me want to pursue photography as an art form. The working model I used when I first approached landscape photography was to get out there and practice, seek inspiration from other photographers, and consider how they photographed a scene. Once I gained that experience and technical knowledge, I began to discard some of the procedures, favor others, and began to develop new ones of my own. In post-production, I spent hundreds of hours learning how to process and edit my photos. I purchased and read many books and watched hours of tutorials on YouTube and other photography websites. Shortly after I completed my photography course, I entered a few of my photographs into the Arizona State Fair photography competition and won several first place ribbons for my work. This gave me the confidence to start printing and selling my work at various Native American art shows, such as the Heard Museum, Indian Santa Fe Indian Market, and several other markets across Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. Here are some samples of my landscape photographs. As a nature photographer, I've become more aware of the deterioration of the planet's natural areas. Industrial, residential, agricultural, commercial expansion, and climate change are changing the landscape at an accelerated rate. Therefore, it has become important to me to capture and document the beauty that still exists today. After 2 years of photographing landscapes, I was ready to experiment with portrait photography. I found portraiture to be a little more challenging. It required me to learn more about lighting and posing. I had to pay more attention to composition and the details in the image and learn how to capture the spirit of the individual in the portrait. Now I often seek to incorporate a human subject into my images. Coming from a culturally rich background, it became important to me to capture the beauty of my people and share it with the rest of the world. Shooting at night is a hard skill to master and can be exceptionally frustrating to capture if you don't know what you're doing. But because it can produce some of the most stunning images, it was a challenge I was willing to master. Night photography takes place at any time between dusk and dawn. You have to be able to work in the dark and work with your camera's limitations. When I think about how I'm going to take a night photo, I have to think a lot more about my camera settings and composition. Several long exposures are required to take a nightscape photograph. I first begin by taking a photograph of a foreground, which could be a tree, a rock, or a land formation, or the landscape, and then I take several exposures of the night sky and combine them all in post-processing, bringing the one image together. So it requires a lot of planning, time, and patience. My work continues to evolve. There are many photographers lately that have photographed the same landscapes or scenery. For me to stand out from the rest, I had to get creative and think outside the box. And this led me to a type of illustrative photography known as conceptual photography. My conceptual photography are images I've taken and blended together using Photoshop to illustrate a scene or a visual description of what I'm trying to bring to life. I find it more challenging and gratifying to create images that come from a storytelling aspect. My goal is to create more cohesive bodies of work, images that have a crucial meaning to me, to people and I. Some of my conceptual art pieces are inspired by my cultural experiences and teachings from the Navajo creation story and mythology. It's important to me to continue to live and grow and finding ways to present my work with retelling these stories from my own perspective. In this next part of the presentation, I will be showing you some of my work I have for sale on my website. I will tell you a little bit more of where I shot my landscapes and my nightscape photographs and some of the stories behind my portraits and conceptual art pieces. You can purchase any of these photographs by visiting my website and my Etsy shop. Both links will be posted throughout this presentation. We'll start with this first image here. This piece I call Corn Pollen Path. It's a limited edition print. I printed on metal. The size of the print is 30 inches by 24. I have been awarded this piece an honorable mention at the 2018 SWIA Arts Competition. You can find this print for sale on my website at squashblossomphotos.com. Tell you a bit about this photograph. Navajo teachings say that all life forms come from yellow pollen. This is a portrait of a young Navajo woman offering corn pollen to the holy people. Normally, when offering is made, the pollen falls to the ground, but I chose to make this pollen go in a spiral direction. The spiral is also a sacred symbol to the Navajo. It's said that our spirit enters our body through the pattern on top of our heads, and also known as the calic. Spiral patterns are everywhere. They appear on fingertips, in plant growth, and in formations of the galaxy. So for me, adding this spiral to this portraiture has a significant meaning. This next photograph was inspired by a story about the hero twins from the Navajo creation story. The hero twins, also known as the monster slayers, in the tale of the hero twins, the story recounts the trials of two brothers who travel across the land, hunting and battling a race of monsters who were destroying human life. They eventually eliminated all the monsters and brought back peace and harmony to the Navajo people. The rainbow and the lightning are important elements in the story and were added to this photograph to complete their story. This area that the photograph was taken is west of Tuba City, near the area where the dinosaur tracks are. And this is a limited edition print, very limited. I had an agreement with the two brothers here that I would only sell 2 prints, and this is the second edition, and after this is sold, there's no more available. But I won a first place ribbon for this at the 2007 Nijoni Arts Competition, which is at the Navajo Nation Fair, and this print is available on my website. If you visit my website, Squash Blossom Photos. This piece here is called Serenity. It was inspired by a artist that I've admired ever since I was a teenager. His name was R.C. Gorman. He painted portraits of Navajo women and just really loved his work. My idea in this image was to make it simple and elegant, and but be impactful and bold. This is a self-portrait of me taken at White Sands, New Mexico. This is a limited edition print as well. It's printed on metal, and I've won 2 first place ribbons for this piece. One at the Arizona State Museum. They used to host a Southwest Indian Art Fair there, but they don't have it there any longer in 2014. And I've also won a ribbon at the Navajo Nation Fair in 2016. You can purchase this print by visiting my website as well. This is a 2-piece edition. It's only sold as a set. This piece is called the Male and Female Rain. In Navajo belief, there's a male and female to all things above, below, and around us. Thunderstorm, lightning, and heavy rain represent the male rain. Gentle, soothing, slow-moving rain represents the female rain. The landscape in the male rain is Canyon de Chelly, and the landscape for the female rain is Monmouth Valley. And you can find this print on my website, Squash Blossom Photos, and I have 2 sizes for it. It is a limited edition print as well, and I have them printed only on metal as well. This piece here, which I titled Coyote's Creation. This photograph was inspired by a story from the Navajo creation story. First man, first woman, and the holy people laid out sacred stones on a piece of animal hide and planned out the constellations. As they were carefully placing each star, Coyote was watching in the distance. On the 4th day, he became impatient and grabbed the hide and threw the remaining stars in the sky and created the Milky Way galaxy. Photograph of the coyote was taken at a local zoo, and the photo of the San Francisco Peaks, which is one of the sacred mountains to the Navajo. The galaxy was taken in Navajo reservation, and the photograph of the hide was taken in my home. So I combined all these pieces together so that I could illustrate the story about how Coyote created the galaxy. This is a limited edition print as well. Comes in 2 sizes. I was awarded a 2nd place ribbon for this at the Navajo Nation Fair, and you can find this print on my website at squashblossomphotos.com. And if you look a little bit close to the coyote, actually has a little smirk on his face. I'm not sure if it's a he or she, but Coyote is a trickster in our culture. This piece is called a female revolver. This is a conceptual piece that was inspired by the story of the stars in the Navajo creation story. First man and first woman and the holy people created constellations to help the people understand the passage of time, growth, and aging. First woman constructed a pattern she called the female revolver, which is also known as Cassiopeia. This piece is printed on metal and but is mounted on a steel frame. And the steel frame I finished myself. This is more of a custom piece that I do sometimes for my customers. You can purchase this piece from my website. If you visit my website, squashblossomphotos.com. This piece also is a metal steel display. It's also available if you visit my website at squashblossomphotos.com. The title of the piece is called White Shell Girl Unification with the Moon. This was inspired by a story in the Navajo creation story. The moon, along with certain constellations, were used to measure the patterns of seasons. It helped signal when to plant, to harvest, when certain weather patterns were expected, and when certain ceremonies should occur. White Shell Girl was asked to enter into the moon by the first man and first woman and the holy people. Before she entered the moon, she asked for the authority to control the tides with her movements, and they all agreed. So this was inspired by that story. This piece is called Beauty Within. It is a limited edition. It comes in 2 sizes. It's a black and white, and the photograph is actually a photograph of my niece, and the landscape is Monument Valley, and it was taken from Hunts Mesa. There's no real significant meaning to it. It's just a concept piece that I together using a double exposure effect. This piece is called Najoni in the Clouds. It's a portrait of a young woman walking through the chaos of the clouds towards the light, seeking guidance from the holy people through ceremony and prayer, in hopes for a prosperous future in health, knowledge, and relationship and spirituality. This is also a limited edition print, comes in 2 sizes, and you can find this you can purchase this by going to my website, squashblossomphotos.com. Okay, this one is called Roadway to the Stars. The photograph of the highway leading to Monument Valley, Utah, an iconic stretch of the American highway made famous by the movie Forrest Gump. The photograph of the road leading towards Monument Valley was shot during the blue hour after sunset. I took several shots later that evening when the Milky Way galaxy appeared and combined the photographs together to complete this shot. The shot of the galaxy was shot off the side of the road because it required several long exposures. I used a star stacking program to combine all the exposures together, which minimizes the noise you get from taking photographs at a high ISO and helps bring out the details of the stars and the galaxy. And this piece is available in various print sizes. It's available on both paper product and also on metal. You can find this either on my Squash Blossom Photos website or my Etsy shop. But I prefer most of my landscape photographs printed on metal because the metal tends to bring out the colors of the night sky. They're more vivid. This piece here is called Stardust Tree. This was taken in Monument Valley. The photograph of the juniper tree and the Milky Way galaxy in the background. This photograph, we used a spotlight. I had my husband help me. He was my assistant. He actually used the spotlight for he flashed it for like a second, and I exposed it for the tree. And then I later took several other shots to expose for the sky. And as I was doing that, in one of my exposures, a vehicle was driving by on a dirt road and happened to light up the mesa in the background. And so that was an added to this photograph. This is printed on metal. It's also available on paper product as well, but right now I don't have any available on paper, but you can order it on metal. It is available on my Squash Blossom Photos website. This is a photograph I called Elephant's Beak Galaxy. It was photographed near Tonalea, Arizona, about maybe 20 miles east of Tuba City. Again, how I got this photograph, this rock formation is actually right near the highway. So as I was photographing by, I was getting cars going by, and they actually lit up the rock formation for me. So I was able to get an exposure with the rock formation in the foreground lit up, and then I shot several different exposures for the background. And then I combined the images together to complete this shot. And this photograph is available on my website as well as my Etsy shop. And it's available in different print sizes as well. This photograph, Reaching for the Stars, is a photograph I took out in Monument Valley. It's a photograph of the mittens. I took the photograph of the rock formations at dusk before sunset, exposed it earlier, and then later on waited for the galaxy to appear. Added the two images together for this shot. And in Navajo, the Navajo people believe that the rock formations, the two mittens, are large hands reaching up from the world below. So it came together pretty beautifully. It's one of my favorite shots. This is also available on my website and my Etsy shop, and it's available in various sizes. This photograph is of a rock formation, just called Shiprock. It's in New Mexico. The rock is sacred to the Navajo people, and it's called the Rock with Wings. According to the legend, it's a remains of giant bird that carried the Navajo people north to New Mexico. This was shot also during the blue hour before sunset, and waited till later on to shoot for the sky. And that night the moon was out, so I was able to the details in the sky is a little bit more blue because of the moonlight. This is available in various print sizes as well. It's available on my website and my Etsy shop. This place is called Rainbow Galaxy. I photographed this in Flagstaff. During the time I shot the landscape in the blue hour as well, and waited later at night to shoot for the galaxy. And at that time, there was a forest fire up in these behind the peaks. So when I processed this photograph, because of the smoke in the air, it created an orange effect. So it looked more like a rainbow once I processed the whole thing. So it's pretty unique, interesting for a galaxy shot. This piece here was shot west of Prescott. We drove out to this area. It's called near Baghdad, Arizona. It's called Star of the Show. And I shot during the blue hour. And then I combined the two photographs together. Actually had to shoot the galaxy. It was four different panels for the galaxy, or four different shots of the galaxy, and I had to combine them all together to get this one shot. This is piece Rainbow Goddess. I shot out in Aljato. It's located across Monument Valley. My parents still lived in Coyote, which is just south of Monument Valley. And every time I go visit my parents, I will take the time to go out in Monument Valley and see what I could capture. And at this time, when I visit this area, was during the summertime, and at that time a rainbow appeared, so was able to capture that in this shot. And this is also available on my website and my Etsy shop, and it comes in various sizes. This photograph is taken on Antelope Canyon, which is near Page, Arizona. It's also called the Slot Canyons. At this time when I signed up for a photography tour at this time when, to take photographs of the canyon. And at that time, I thought that by taking a photography tour that the photographers that signed up would have this area to ourselves, but the tour was, they had other tours going on at the same time, not particularly a photography tour, but other visitors. And so what they had to do was stop the traffic so that we could take our shot. And so this was a very stressful photo shoot for myself. We only had like seconds to take a shot, and so it was very frustrating. And after I was done, I was so tense from the whole experience. Did not quite enjoy it. So I don't think I'll be visiting this area or the canyons anytime soon again. This is available in various print sizes, and it's on my website and my Etsy shop as well. this is a photograph of Monument Valley. It originally started as a panoramic shot. It was a big long shot of Monument Valley. It was taken from Hunts Mesa. And like I said earlier, I seek inspiration from other people, and I seen a photograph of some trees that somebody used and used an effect in Photoshop that made the whole thing come together and had a round spirit type look. And so I thought I'd try it for this piece. And after reworking the ends as I put it together, I had to rework it so that it would look seamless. So after I did that, I used one of my Galaxy photographs and put it in the center of the piece. And just very unique, just something different that I try to do sometimes for my landscape photographs. This is available on metal, only in one size, but you can find this and purchase this off my website. This is a photograph I took out in Grand Canyon this past March. This was actually the weekend when the COVID-19 outbreak came out, and this is just before they closed the park. So at that time, this is a photograph I took at Hopi Point, and I'm shooting towards the west, and there was like snow flurries, a snow flurry storm coming across the canyon, and I thought it was a very beautiful shot. It was very dramatic, and the light coming through the clouds. It was very, very beautiful, and I thought it would look a lot more contrasty and more dramatic by converting it to a black and white piece. I normally don't do a lot of black and whites, but once in a while there are some, if it's a dramatic landscape, I will convert it to a black and white. And a lot of my inspiration I get from Ansel Adams. This is available on metal in 2 sizes, and you can purchase this on my website, my Squash Blossom website. This piece was photographed here in Prescott, a lake called Watson Lake. I like to visit regularly. Sometimes I go over there and photograph, try to see if I can photograph different photographs. It's not very far from me, so get a lot of rain this past summer because of very drought conditions, and but when there was clouds or monsoon clouds appearing, I would try to go out and try to catch something, photograph something. So at this time I went out and shot this tree. It's one of my favorite subjects to shoot out in that lake. And this piece is available in various print sizes, and you can find it on Etsy or my personal website, my Squash Blossom website. This piece, Morning Desert Blooms, was shot at Bartlett Lake, and this was shot, I believe, last spring of last year in March. During the winter time of that year, there was a big snowstorm up north, and brought a lot of moisture to the area north of Phoenix and all the way up to I think up to Colorado, I knew that I had to get out and look for photographs of the spring, the flowers. And at that time, Bartlett Lake was blooming. It was just beautiful. And this was taken early in the morning before sunrise. As you can see, some of the flowers haven't quite opened up yet. So this is one of my favorite pieces. This is available on metal as well, 2 sizes. And it's also available on paper as well. Just visit my my Etsy shop or my Squash Blossom Photos. This photograph was taken out in northern Arizona near an area that's called White Pocket. We visit this area in the winter time. I've always wanted to visit this area, but I did not quite know exactly where it was. And I've had other photographers recommend going to this place. And because we weren't really planned for it, we just kind of looked for it on the map and found the area. It was in a very remote area, and you need like a 4x4, a high center 4x4 visiting in this area. But because we went in the winter time, the roads weren't as bad. It's a very sandy area, and we were told that during the summertime, in the dry time, when it's dry, the sand is very soft, and you can get stuck there. So, but because we went in the wintertime, it was still, the sand was wet and cold. So the roads were a little bit easier to travel to get to this area. But once we got there, I was amazed. It was so beautiful. If you get a chance, I would look up this area and go out there and look. The rocks are white like this, and so they're white, red, and all kinds of different colors, but I could see why they call this White Pocket. This is also available in various print sizes. This photograph was taken out in White Sands National Park in New Mexico. Took it towards sunset, and just such a beautiful area. It's one of my favorite areas to visit. I only was there for a short time. We got there in the afternoon. I took a different photograph of myself there, and then stayed there until sunset, and was able to capture this. And I'm hope to visit this area again sometime soon. And this print is also available in various print sizes as well. This is a photograph of Mesa Arch, which is in Canyonlands National Park in Utah. This was photographed during the winter of January. It was the January month, and we were on our way to Denver for a Native American art market, and so I made plans to stop at this area as we were heading up north. And to my surprise, that morning there was probably 1 or 2 other photographers there. We showed up before sunrise, and by the time the sun started, there was probably about 20 of us there. So we all had to kind of fight for space to photograph this area. This is also available in various print sizes. This one is a photograph I took at South Rim of Grand Canyon. We visit there on our way back from the reservation. Did not know that there was a forest fire on the north side of the Grand Canyon, but it really adds some kind of atmosphere look to this photograph. You can see the different layers. So it was, even though it was, the clarity wasn't quite there, but seeing the smoke added these different layers and atmospheric feel to it. So I thought it was a very unique piece. This is also available in 2 different sizes on metal. This photograph I took about a year ago exactly. We went up to Utah, to Salt Lake City, to sell some of my work at a Native American art market. And on our way back home, we stopped here in Bryce Canyon, and this was shot in the morning. And this is actually 3 photographs that I took and was stitched together. So it was quite beautiful, the colors in the rocks in the morning. It's one of my favorite places to visit. Hope to go there again sometime soon. And it's available on metal as well, and you can visit my website to purchase this piece. This photograph was taken in Iceland. I had planned a special trip for myself. I was turning 50 about a year and a half ago, and wanted to visit Iceland to celebrate my 50th birthday. So it was very beautiful. It was a very short, quick trip, so I wasn't able to stay very long, but I did want to visit this area, which is called Diamond Beach, and heard about and saw photographs of these large icebergs that float out into the ocean and then come back onto the black beaches, and was very beautiful. Just, I hope to, once the COVID-19 pandemic is over and when everything is back to normal, I hope to go back out there and visit this area as well, and take more photographs. Okay. And this next part of the presentation, I like to just go over some of the type of products that photography prints that I sell to my customers. And I'll just tell you a little bit about my greeting cards. My greeting cards are photographs matted inside cardstock paper. The prints are printed on professional photography paper, and the cardstock paper is acid-free and are placed inside protective plastic bags. The size of the cards are 5 by 7 and can be framed. Here's an example of my greeting cards. You can purchase my greeting cards through my Etsy shop. And my matte prints are printed on professional photography paper and matted with acid-free mats and mat boards. They are placed inside a protective plastic bag and come in standard frame sizes. Here is an example of my matte prints. You can purchase these prints through my Etsy shop. My metal prints, my aluminum metal prints, oops, went past that real quick there, sorry. But I'll tell you about my metal prints. They're they're made, they're printed on aluminum metal. They're professionally printed by a professional photo lab. The image is inkjet printed, pressed onto a sturdy aluminum panel using an innovative dye simulation process. The ink is infused into the coating of the metal print, providing protection and durability. The print has a high gloss and luminous base with a reflective finish. The back of the print has a black inset metal frame with a wire hanger. I particularly like this type of print, especially for my conceptual art pieces and nightscapes. I consider this print as a higher end product. For my photography, the colors are more vivid and it will not fade over time. It comes ready to hang and it's easy to care for. I sell these prints off of my Squash Blossom Photo website. This one here is what I call my metal displays, and my custom metal displays are metal prints mounted on steel. The steel backings are made of stainless steel. The brush design is done by me and coated by a clear coat finish. I came up with this unique way of framing my work several years ago. I have two friends that are metal artists and have admired their work in brushed metal. So I came up with this idea of mounting my metal prints on the brushed steel backing. With no knowledge of working with steel, I had to experiment and learn to work with a wheel grinder, and became the end result. This is what I call my custom metal display work. Currently, there are 2 metal displays available for purchase on my website, if you visit my Squash Blossom website. I also accept commissions as well. If you're looking to purchase any of my work in other sizes or like me to create you a custom display with my other photography work, I'm open to it. Just send me an email and I will send you back a quote. And at this time, I am ready to answer any questions, if anybody has any questions from the audience.
Oh, Priscilla, your work is just so stunning. It's absolutely spectacular. And one of the things that I personally like about your metal prints, your large metal prints from those that I've seen when you've been at Autumn Fest in person before, it seems to really make the works glow. The images are already gorgeous, but that metal backing really it does add to your work. One question we do have is, are the stories that you told with the images, are they available with the images? Do they come with, such as the one about the hero twins and such?
Oh, yes. I do print out a little description of it, and I do attach it to the back of it. And also on the limited editions, I also have a stamp. I have an artist stamp. I give a little certificate of and also number print it as well. You will get that as well with the purchase of the print.
All right. Our next is, what were the blooms in the desert blossom photo? If not mistaken, the purple was lupine, but were the yellowish flowers, but what were the yellowish flowers that had not yet opened?
Oh, I think they're called poppies. I'm not sure what the kind of flowers. I think they're called poppy flowers, and they actually open up once the sun hits them and it starts to warm up. They'll open up.
That's a spectacular piece. And how long does it?
I do have one of it with the poppies with it open, and it's taken later in the day. So I do have that as well.
Fantastic. Is that also available on your website?
Yes, that's available in my Etsy shop. It's on my Etsy shop.
And typically, how long does it take you to compose one of your conceptual pieces?
Well, I come up with the idea, and then it's a long process. So I come up with the idea, and then I have to make plans to shoot each piece of it. So, like for instance, with my Coyote Galaxy one, is I had to make plans to, okay, where am I going to find a photograph a the coyote? And so I had to plan for that shoot, and then for the mountains, then I would have to plan for that at another time, go out there and shoot that, and then of course I have to shoot for the galaxy. And then once I get back to my computer, then I would have to, and the hide, I had to figure out where to shoot that in my home, and then I would have to somehow work it all together where it would look seamless. So I have to really go into layers in the Photoshop and adjust the colors and the contrast, and just make it really work it where it looks like I actually shot the piece at one time. So it took a long time. Each piece is different. It could take anywhere between, I don't know, probably I would say 20 to 40 hours sometimes. After my first initial composite is done, I actually go back and I rework it, and I rework it, and I rework it to a point where I feel it's complete and it's finished. So I spend a lot of hours.
So I think you just answered through your explanation there. Part of the next question was, do you really stage these out? So I guess I'll retool this question. Is how many of these have you looked at your series of photos and thought, wow, let's see what happens if we combine or use these images together?
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm trying to come up with an idea, maybe they're from photographs that I've already taken. Some of them are photographs that I've already taken. And then others are like, I have to find a model, someone who would model for me as well. And I have to meet with them and do that. And then when I sit down at my computer and I have all the pieces together, then I have to sit there and make sure the composition and the size and everything, just have to rework it to where it would all fit and blend together. So like for my hero twins, I had an idea. I met the two brothers at one of the art show actually at the Heard Museum. I met them, and it wasn't until like a year later that we finally got together and did the photo shoot. And it took me that long because I had to find the outfits for them and find they had shields. I had to find all the little details that I had to add to that image. And then I wanted to do it during the monsoon season, so we had to plan it for that as well, because I wanted to capture the dramatic clouds in the sky and the area too. I had to think about the area I wanted to shoot it, and this particular area I shot because it kind of fit with the stories about giants and monsters, and because there's dinosaur tracks nearby, so I kind of use all those things to bring that one piece together. So it does take a lot of time. It took a lot of effort. It takes weeks and months. Well, you know, like I said, I came up with an idea, but it didn't actually come together until like maybe a year later. So.
And it looks like we have time for one more question. And they ask, what is meant by shooting in the blue hour?
It's just the blue hours right after sunset, when the color, you still have enough light in the landscape that you're able to still see detail before it gets too dark. So you still have, you get the reflection off of the sky. The sky is kind of blue. I guess that's why they call it the blue hour. So you get the reflection from the sky. It's just at the point where you can still expose for the landscape, and you still can, you still get a good exposure at a low ISO. That if I waited later on, if I try to shoot it in the dark, I would have to increase my ISO to the point where you start to get the image is not as sharp. It starts to get pixels and gets muddy. They call it noise in the photograph. So I like to shoot that before, where I can shoot it at a low ISO and get a good focus on the whole landscape, and then later on shoot for the sky.
Well, thank you so much, Priscilla. This has just been a delight. We appreciate you sharing your time and your works of art with our audience today.
Well, thank you. Again, I want to thank you and the Amerind Museum for putting this together. It has been an honor and a privilege to be part of this online presentation. Thank you all who joined us on Zoom, and those of you who will view this at a later time. I hope you enjoyed your time, and many blessings to you, and continue to be safe out there. And thank you.
I'll definitely continue to be safe out there. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, Sterling Investments, Arizona G&T Cooperatives, and the Arizona Commission on the Arts. Autumn Fest will resume on October 24th at 10 a.m. with a performance by Tony Duncan. We have a full list of our performances as well as artists who will join us that day on the Amerind website. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.